In this video clip, we're going to model some concrete columns and concrete beams. So the concrete columns are going to place on top of the footing. Therefore, if we want to model concrete columns, we need to pick the top of footing. Go to the structure and concrete columns. The size of the column is going to be 18 by 18. That's the first one we're going to pick. And there are different ways we can place the columns. For instance, if some of those students would like to create a slanted column, you can pick this one. But for our example, we're just going to use the vertical columns. Before we place the columns, we need to make sure this configuration, the settings are correct. And that should be based on the height, and the constraint is going to be the second floor. So basically, the columns are going to reaching to the second level. Everything else should be fine. Now let's try to pick or we can use the at grid lines. Basically, that means we are going to place the columns at the intersection of the grid lines. If we were to pick multiple places, what we can do is we can first select the horizontal and select multiple vertical lines. We need to press the Control key and select multiple lines, and when you're done, you just hit finish. And let's also try to place some different size of columns. All the settings are exactly the same, and we're going to use the 20 by 28. Place right over here. It looks like the direction is not the one we want, and we would like to rotate it. Just pick the starting point and rotate by 90 degrees. This is the location we want. We can also check rotate after placement. For example, we place the concrete columns and then rotate it. Now it looks like this is not what we want. Now this is the direction we want. Once we are done with placing the concrete columns, next I would like to show how we can place concrete beams. Let's first verify that in the 3D view. Looks like everything is okay. Now let's try to place the concrete columns, concrete beams. Go back to the top of footing and click Structure tab, Beam. We need to select the concrete beam, and the size we want is exactly 10 by 10. And we pick the starting point and the end. It looks like before we do that, we need to make sure if we are placing at the correct level. Now we can see it looks like the level we want is not correct. So we need to go back to the top of footing and go back and make sure all the settings are correct. Beams. The placement plane is going to be the second level, and the structure usage is going to be the girder. Place from a center line to center line. This is none of the created are visible in structure plan. I think it's fine because it's already on the second level, so don't worry. We can just go to the 3D view, and now everything is fine. We can rotate a little bit. For instance, for the concrete columns and the concrete beams, we would like to offset the Z value by, for example, 6 inches negative. We can do that and apply, so it will offset a little bit. You guys can place the remaining concrete columns and beams based on the file that is provided, and practice on your own. I'll see you guys in the next video.